Good morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? I hope you are well. I'm doing fine. I took my walk. It's getting cold out. I actually had a little spring coat on. A second. Gold got going, and then it stumbled a little bit. The gold, as we woke up, was about 40.20, and I'm going, okay, here we go to 4,100, and then the 10 o'clock drop happens, and it drops it all the way down to 39.83, but not terribly. And now it's at 39.83. But you can see we're most of the day over 4,010. So it's really, it's. I don't get the point of the people pushing the price down. Obviously, it's price fixing. Obviously, it's not real. But what are they doing? What is the point? People will say the dollar and gold are like related. They're not. No matter what gold does, the dollar does something different. And they're saying the dollar is stronger against other currencies, which is like, who cares? The other currencies, they're all weak. They're all bankrupt. They're all zero. So if the US dollar is stronger versus the euro, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. So I don't know why then gold goes down because the dollar is stronger to the euro. How does that correlate? All right, so it doesn't. So it's really stupid. I don't see the correlation at all. Itself, gold's going up. We're buying it because the dollar is going out. So there is the correlation. If the dollar wasn't going out, would we be buying gold? And I'd still say yes, because it's very limited and it's very highly in demanded. I think everybody wants gold and has gold. If the dollar was backed by gold, we wouldn't need as much gold because the dollar would be backed by gold, and that would be fine. But there's no correlation because of the dollar going down. Like the dollar going up against the euro should not make gold go down. And it's all price fixed because it's all COMEX. Like this drop here, this drop at just before 10 o'clock, what is that? That's bullshit. Nobody sold an ounce of gold. It just drops so they can buy it cheaper because it's all a game. They want to buy, so they lower the price to buy it cheaper. It's like children. It means nothing. Silver got over 48. It was 48.60. Now it's back to 48. This is not volatile. This is options. This is paper. So in the paper world, it's volatile. In the physical world, gold and silver are not volatile at all. They would go. But because for some strange reason, they look at, if you went to your coin shop now and it's 39.82, I can go buy it for 40.82. Use 100 over spot. All right, I have a video on a silver store. We've seen him before. He's totally out of gold. My guy's totally out of gold. It's being bought up. Silver he had. He doesn't really understand what's going on. He doesn't understand bricks. Doesn't understand COMEX game playing. I don't understand why people like, oh, it's due to drop because it went up. It's not a stock. This is money. This is gold. Would a mantle card go up, go really high and then go down? No, because they're not stocks. Why does the stock do that? Because everybody jumps in goes into the stock, pushes the price up, then they realize it's overvalued. Amazon, well, it's really worth 100, but everybody jumped in and it went up to 130 and went up to 140. Then they go, oh yeah, that's overvalued because it's really not supposed to be that high. And then people sell it. But that's not what's happening in gold. Gold's got nothing to do with it. Gold is simply money. It's we're trying to get to the physical value of it, and just because it went up to 4,300, there's no pullback. There's no profit taking. Anybody that says there's a pullback is an idiot. You pull back stocks because they went up too fast. Gold did not go up too fast. If anything, gold's been price fixed, and gold is way, way, way undervalued. Real value is probably 20,000. Okay. So gold's up from 4,000 to 4,300. How is that overvalued? Overvalued what? Just bullshit. When a guy tells you that, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So keep that in mind. What is with my glasses? Anyway, so we'll get more into gold and silver after we talk football. I found a lock yesterday. I'm so proud of myself. I did what I do. I find a game and, it's like, here we go. And the reason I find it is because the numbers are blurred. Not Ohio State, not Alabama, but maybe in Iowa, maybe at Kansas, maybe Louisiana Tech or Southern Miss, where they played. It's probably more Sun Belty, MAC type of teams. They've been playing the Alabamas and the Ohio States, and they're going to look bad. Then they get in conference, and all of a sudden it's, hey, after playing Ohio State, this is a picnic. And I think that's what I stumbled on. I stumbled on a couple of them. So with gold at 39.80 and silver at 47.80, we will say goodbye to that for now, and we will go to our football. I have posted 2 locks. Let's look at yesterday's games. Toledo, picked that one, 42-3. Toledo's the best team. They're the A team. They were laying 14. And Ball State 17, Kent State 13. Ball State was laying 3. It was the game, Ball State was the Z team. So you can take Kent as a live dog, which would have won. The defenses were really weak, 36-29, but they didn't score on it. The total was 46. With those defenses, it's hard to go under. So it was a no-play game. But Toledo was a team playing at home and kicking ass. All right. We got one game tonight. We got Denver and Oakland, Thursday night football. We'll get into that when I get done with college. I'm going to break down, give you the quarterback look that I use. But I got to be careful. Nebraska's quarterback's out. Arizona State's quarterback's out. There's a few Missouri's quarterbacks out. So we've got to look at it. Nebraska's out. UCLA switches offensive coordinators, but keeps the quarterback, which we know about. So we got to look at all that. And then how good's the backup? See, we can't just say, well, he's no good, because Cam Rising was the third stringer until he played, as was Tyler Van Dyke. These guys were not starters. Coaches had their head up their ass. All right. UTSA, South Florida. This is tonight. We've got 2 games tonight. We got South Florida 13.5, 67.5. It was 14-68, so it's the same. They're both over teams. UTSA is normally explosive. Has been hot and cold this year, and for some reason, McGowan hasn't. It's not like he's got 30 touchdowns. He's okay. South Florida, a very good team. Beat Florida, beat Boise. I think Boise's quarterback's also out. Beats Boise, loses to Miami, and then has some more big wins. They are 6-2. So one of the losses was to Miami. You got two over teams playing in this one. 30 defense, UTSA. Now, South Florida is a 24 defense, so they're not really an over team except for they score 40 points a game. So I made them an over team because they score 40 and they still kind of give up 24. When I looked into the numbers, you could see them playing higher scoring games. So the total is 68. Maybe you take a stab at the over. UTSA, great offense and a 30 defense. So a very good over type of team, as is South Florida. So it's got a chance. It's 68, 62. Maybe you go after it. Georgia Southern, App State 5.5, 61.5. Down from 6.5. So a little Georgia Southern betting, the Sharps, as they call them. I really hate that term. It's like so stupid. Both of these teams are over teams. Georgia Southern with the 35 defense and App State with the 27. Total on the game is 61.5. So I like this one better. You got a 68 UTSA South Florida, but here you got Georgia Southern App State at a 61, and both teams score a lot. So here's where, when you go into the numbers, let's go into the numbers here. French against Swan. I think that's who it is. So they score about 29 points a game. Defensively, they give up 35 and 27. Now, so we go, well, but let's see the scores. And Georgia Southern beat Maine 45-17. This doesn't count. James Madison and 18. They lost 35-10. Southern Miss, they lost 38-35. Georgia State, who is the Z team, they beat 41-24. And Arkansas State 34-24. But we noticed Georgia State's the Z team, doesn't score much, put up 24 on them. So the last four games, they've given up 34-24, 38-35. I would suggest App State probably lights them up. However, they scored 10 on James Madison with a good defense, then 35, 41, 24. You're going to be close. Well, let's look at App State. Against Boise, they lost 47-14. Beat Oregon State 27-23. And then Georgia State, they beat 41-20. Coastal Carolina, they lose 37-45. And Old D, they lose 24-24. So they had a few 30-point games. Georgia State, the Z team, Coastal Carolina, 37. They give up mostly in the 20s. Boise scored 47 on them. So I'm really unclear that this is an over. I like to see App State score more. And App State, Swan, who was the backup at Vandy he got beaten out by Daggio, so he's okay. But this is where it's a little difficult. You can't just see it's over and that's it. You've got to look at it from the whole standpoint. But that's tonight. That's tomorrow, I think. No, that's tonight's game, Georgia Southern. So a lot of it depends on who they play. If they're playing really good offenses, if they play Vandy's probably going to put up 60 points on them. If they play, Michigan, they probably won't they'll probably put up 30. Or they play Northwestern, they won't get a lot of points. So that kind of leads you into what type of team it is who did they play and who do they got here. All right, tomorrow night, Houston and UCF. Houston 1.5, 47.5. UCF, not that great, terrible coach. Houston, I don't know. I thought they were an under Willie Fritz, and they're giving up points. They're a 21 defense. UCF's an 18. UCF doesn't play high scoring games. I don't know. UCF, I don't know if they're a live dog. Two really unknown teams here that it's very difficult to figure out. Tulane goes to Memphis. Memphis 3.5, 54.5. Wow, this was 7. What's going on here? Memphis 3.5 and 54.5. Tulane's an E team, 25 defense. Memphis is an A, 19. Just had a big win over a pretty good team, but I can't think of it. 25-19 defense. So you have, what do you have? Memphis, the better team, but they're only laying 3.5. And they just beat a good team. So Memphis could be a play here. Again, I don't really like touching these Friday night games. I might play this one, Northwestern USC 14, 50.5. Northwestern, an under team with a 16 defense. However, they just beat Penn State when they were still Penn State. That's when the coach got fired, 22-21. Pretty good defense. USC over team, 22 defense. USC at home is pretty good. They struggled at Notre Dame against a good defense. Northwestern does have a pretty good defense. They struggled with Nebraska, and they have a pretty good defense. So I don't know. It's a big number. It's Friday night it's a 9:00 game. So it'll go to midnight for Northwestern. Well, Northwestern's in Illinois. They're Chicago. So really it's really 8:00 for them. I don't know. USC plays well at home, needs the game. Northwestern, though, has won 4 in a row. So this is probably a competitive game here. The way USC looked against Nebraska, what are they doing? They're running the ball. All right. Key games, Indiana, 14.5, 48.5 to Penn State. Penn State, again, no quarterback, no coach, no nothing. They got a little bit of running. They got a break against Ohio State where there was a late fumble just before half, which was bullshit. The forward progress was stopped. Should not have been a fumble. And it fucked our under as they scored with 10 seconds left in the half. Anyway, Indiana, just super strong team. 14.5. I would not bet against Indiana here. They played Oregon 17 all, and then Oregon beat them in overtime. But Indiana went to Oregon and won 30-20. They beat them by 10. They went to Iowa and won by 5 or 6. Shows you how good Iowa's defense is. But Indiana likes to run, and it's hard to run on Iowa. But Penn State, I don't think. Indiana's an 18 with a 10 defense, and Penn State's an even team with the 21. Indiana will win. It's just by how many. They're a very good team. I think they can play with Ohio State, Alabama very easily. Good quarterback. So I don't see a letdown here. It's a little bit high, 14.5. I'd like to have gotten it under 3. I'd liked it to be 8 or 9. It's unusual they're this much of a favorite. But with Penn State without their coach and quarterback, I can kind of understand it. But Penn State, FYI, is 3-5 this year. And I'm not betting them to win after losing 5 straight. I did it after 2. You got me once. You're not getting me twice. But that's the way the year's been going. It's been kind of strange year. SMU, 10.5, 55.5 to BC. BC's pretty weak, 33 defense. SMU just beat Miami last week at home. They go to BC. It's a noon game, big noon, or little noon. on the ACC network. BC's got a decent quarterback, but he hasn't really done anything. I think they figured him out. SMU, I don't really love Jennings. They're good. They're not explosive. They're playing more run and they're playing more defense, 21 defense. It's 12.5, so you can get SMU under a touchdown, which would be probably good. But how are they going to react after beating Miami, going to BC? And we just saw Notre Dame have trouble with BC. I was going through the box score there. You know why we lost? Because Notre Dame fumbled at the 5-yard line in the third quarter. So they would have won 32-10, which is 22. We're laying 21. That was just the way the Ohio State fumbled at Notre Dame. So keep in mind, the picks are good. The game, it just varies a little bit, but the picks logically are good. Ohio State under, Notre Dame at BC, who's not very good. Those should have won, but they didn't. Okay, we get that. It's gambling. We can't go 100%. We get it. Is the play good? And you got to make the play before the game, not after. So the play was a good play. It just didn't win. But that, this is the hard part about gambling is how do you predict the outcome, right? You look at the offense, the defense. Notre Dame certainly wasn't looking ahead to Navy this week, but they got Navy. So it's just one of those things. A good call, but it didn't come through. Now, Mississippi State, our big lock, that one, we needed 60 points. We got 73. It went the way it was supposed to go. Hey, Prophet, good morning. So if this is how I think the game will go and it goes that way, everything's fine. When it doesn't go that way, a lot of times now, if I go over, it's because the stupid let's go on 4th and 1, and then they don't get it, and they've taken 6-7 minutes off the clock and not scored and left the ball at the 15, 20-yard line. Now, I don't know if these coaches are this stupid to keep going on 4th instead of getting your points. Again, the object of the game is to score more points than the other team. So if you're down there, get your 3 points, it adds up, right? You might be down 14, but then all of a sudden you're down 11. Then all of a sudden you score a touchdown. And if you didn't kick the field goal, you're down 7. But if you would have kicked it, maybe you're down 4. And one more touchdown wins, or you go for 2 and a field goal ties it. So there's a lot of options that by going for it and not getting it, you kill your team. And the coaches, I don't think, realize this. They're not smart enough to understand if they don't get the 4th down, it's a turnover. You're probably going to lose the game. They don't understand that. They're not smart enough, especially the Oregon coach. He's a real idiot. All right. Georgia, 8.5, 57.5 to Southern Miss. Up from 7.5 to 8.5, 57.5 is the total. Georgia an A team, 19 defense, but we saw them get cooked by Tennessee and get cooked by Ole Miss. So they've given up a lot of points to good passing teams. Mississippi State with Blake Shapen's a good passing team. I kind of think they're an over. Mississippi State, they handled Arkansas, they handled Texas, and here they are a 25 defense. So, this should be a good game. It's at Old Mississippi State. They could pull the upset here. It wouldn't surprise me none. Titus, how are you? Hope you're well. I got a couple of locks for you today, Titus. I got one you'll love. James Madison and Marshall. Now, this is a really interesting game. James Madison's the A team with the 16 defense. Marshall an over with the 32. James Madison's really good team there. Game of the week, BYU, Texas Tech. Texas Tech 10 and 52.5. Where are you? There it is. I don't know. I've gone every which way on this game. All right, first of all, you got 18 BYU against 18 Texas Tech. You do have the quarterback back for Texas Tech. BYU's a 17 defense, Texas Tech's a 13, 10, and 52. I've thought of Texas Tech -4. I've thought about BYU in 16 because A versus A. I'm going to play the dog, but I'm scared of playing against Texas Tech. I got a 17 defense and a 13. Maybe we go over. Maybe we go under. Again, I looked at this thing, and they both score a ton of points. BYU scores 30. So I go to the BYU-Utah game, 24-21 BYU wins, and I go to the Texas Tech-Utah game, and it was like 34-10 Texas Tech, but I think the Utah quarterback got hurt during the game. So this is what you have. You have a strong dog. You have a strong favorite. You have two very strong defenses, but also two very strong offenses. This is a nightmare. So it's really hard. Do I trust BYU or do I trust the under? My gut says go over in the game, so I'm all fucked up there. This is like the Utah-Cincinnati game. I finally ended up going over in the game, even though the numbers said under, because I didn't trust the numbers because Cincinnati played Kansas and Iowa State, 50-point game, high-scoring games. So I don't know what to do with this game. This is I need more reading. All I know is BYU beat Utah, and that I think BYU stays in the game here. But I really don't like to go against teams like Texas Tech. Their quarterback, they got a strong runner, they got a strong defense, they got a strong nose tackle, they got a good coach. It's really a nightmare. So I don't know what to do with this one. Okay. Old Miss plays the Citadel, but that's not on the board. Ohio State, Purdue. Ohio State 29.5, 47.5. Call it 48. And Ohio State up from 28 to 29. I honestly think Purdue is kind of live here at that point spread. They're not bad. They've played USC and Notre Dame, so they played good teams, and they lost by 30 to Notre Dame, but they did score like 30 points. It was like 60 to 30. So they did get 30 on Notre Dame's defense. Ohio State, the killer defense, the 6th defense. But it's at Purdue. And Ohio State, I just smell a little letdown here. Ohio State's been they threw the ball deep on Penn State 3 or 4 times. So I don't think Purdue, I think they'll just play a 2-deep zone and not let that happen, but then they're going to run it down your throat, but you can't win. I think Purdue can move a little on them. And at Purdue, it's on grass, which Ohio State plays on turf. I don't think Purdue wins. No, don't get me wrong. Although I do think you got 35 points, and they're not bad. Like I said, they played USC and Notre Dame. That this could be it could be doable. So we'll see. Maybe this could be like 27 to 14 or something like that. This could be a closer game. Purdue's not a Z team. Purdue's an E team with the 27 defense. Ohio State's an A with the 7. So, I mean, they can score. I like their quarterback, Brown. Their coach is very good. They will be up for this game. And I don't know. I think they'll keep it close the first half. And I think it'll stay low scoring as it should have last week. Again, it's the same play. Ohio State, Penn State, we play it under and it misses by a point. But then to be a gambler and to be a good handicapper, you've got to look at this game independently going, it's 49 points. It's 55 under. Purdue's not going to score that much, but Ohio State might not score that much. They just played Penn State. How into it are they going to be to go to Purdue and play? It's just you can get up for Penn State. You're not going to get up for Purdue. I just smell a little problem for Ohio State here. Not a big problem to win, but I don't think they're going to win by 30. No. Let's go. Charlotte and East Carolina. Why do I stop at this game? As you notice, I'm not doing every game. I'm kind of skipping to the Conference USA crap. East Car 28.5, 56.5. This is almost the perfect storm. You got Charlotte, a Z team with a 37 defense, East Car an A team with a 16 defense. You're laying 28.5. This is exactly what you look for. Just blank without teams. Z team, A team, 28. Okay, I'll take the A team, lay the 22. I think that's what you can do. I got to check it out. This is just superficial look, but I do like East Car here, especially at home. Charlotte, just terrible. I think we locked Southern Miss against Charlotte or took them. I think we locked against Charlotte a week or two ago, and we won pretty easily. All right. Duke goes to UConn. And Duke is 9.5, 65.5. I think it was 8.5, 66. Duke's an over team. Menshaw, very good quarterback, a 28 defense. UConn's a very good team, a B team with a 24 defense. They do score a lot. So you have that. I think this could be an over number. The defenses aren't that bad, but Duke can really score. They played 90 with Clemson last week, and I think they'll score a lot here. So, maybe it's a Duke, maybe it's an over. Not sure. Iowa State, TCU 7, 57.5. Iowa State's an E team with the 22. TCU's an over with the 25. Let's see, 7 and 57.5. TCU is a pretty good team. Iowa State's just not playing that well this year. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to Arizona. I mean, they're losing a lot of games. They're 5-4. It's not a normal Iowa State team. Kansas goes to Arizona. Arizona, Fajitas having a big year. Arizona 5.5, 56.5. Kansas, they started out strong, but they're petering out. Arizona's an A team. They're at home with 20. I hate going against Kansas with Daniels, a really good quarterback. 25 defense. Arizona seems to be the A with the 20. So it's a tough game. It's probably a live dog. It's probably a live favorite. It should be a close game, I think. Oregon goes to Iowa. Oregon 6 and 40.5. This was 44. This really dropped. Oregon, the A team, 13 defense. Iowa's a B team because they just don't score as much, 13 defense. Now, Oregon had trouble at Penn State, but got the win. Lost to Indiana. I don't like Moore, the quarterback. Oregon 7-1. So their loss came to Indiana at home. So they have to win. This is probably just a strong defensive effort. Iowa is scoring more than they usually do. This total is a little bit low. And they're both 13 defenses. So unlike the difference is the TCU, the BYU Texas Tech game, they both are pretty good offensively. Here, Oregon's okay. Iowa's okay offensively. But again, Oregon only put up 20 on Indiana and 17 on Penn State. This is not your normal Oregon offense, and we don't like the quarterback that much. In Iowa, quarterback's decent. They're scoring a little bit more. I don't know. I'm more tempted to take Iowa as the dog or go under in the game than take Oregon even, which is unusual. And again, this is another one that it's a very tough to figure out game. Iowa did play Indiana close at home. I think they lost 19-13. Okay, they played Indiana and they didn't get blown out at home. Illinois did. So you kind of are you're kind of hit and miss with this game going, well, how strong is Oregon? And it's at Iowa and it's a 3:30 game. So it's a noon game for Oregon. Anyway, it's just they're not making it easy on me this weekend. A&M Missouri, A&M 747 and a half. Missouri lost the quarterback, broke his ankle against Vandy. How good's their backup? We don't know. A&M, strong quarterback and Reed, pretty good defense, 23, not great. They're more of an over team. Missouri is an A team with Pribula, but he's not the quarterback. So what are they? Probably an under team. So I think A&M won at Notre Dame. So I think A&M wins the game. I don't know how strong Missouri is, but they did lose to my Vanderbilt team. And that's all that matters. All right, Miami of Florida and Syracuse. Miami 28 and a half, 45 and a half. Syracuse, a W team with the 30 defense. They lost their quarterback. They're pretty bad. Miami off the loss to SMU. I expect them to kill Syracuse. Miami, an 18 with the 15 defense. Played an overtime game with SMU last week. They're now 6-2 again, losing to Louisville and losing to SMU. It's the same story with Miami. Real good team, but they can't even get out of the way in the conference, losing to Louisville's and SMU's, who are not that strong of teams. So, again, I think Miami rolls because Syracuse is bad. They're a W, but probably a Z. 30 defense. Miami should have no problem here. All right, here's your free play, and I'm going to repeat this because you won't believe it. Coastal Carolina, 7.5, 57.5 to Georgia State. Georgia State's a Z team with a 40 defense. They're the worst. Coastal Carolina is a W with the 28. I like, I think I like, who do I like here? I don't remember what I took. All right, I went with Coastal Carolina minus the 1.5. They're playing a 40 defense. Now, the trigger of this game is I went into the look and I went into, I'm just scrolling down the games and I'm popping into to get the last 5. And superficially, when you look at the whole year, they only scored 22 a game. And we know Georgia State's a Z team. But when I look at Georgia State's lost their last 5. They lost to Vandy 70-21. They lost to James Madison 14-7. App State 41-20. Georgia Southern 41-24. And South Alabama 38-31. I don't think they've won yet. We look at Coastal Carolina. They beat South Alabama 38-20. They're scoring. They lose to Old D 47-7. Okay. Then they beat Lou Monroe, who is a Z team, 23-8. But then they beat App State 45-37, Marshall 44-27. This is the analyst in me. So I see 4 out of the 5, they're scoring very strong, and yet I got them as a W. They're no fucking W if they score 44, 45, 23, and a 38. That is not a W. A W is scoring about 15 to 20 points. So this is not a W team, even though I've graded it because I'm looking at the whole year. So when we view all, instead of the last 5, so they start off losing to Virginia 48-7, which is going to skew them. And Virginia has that great quarterback. Then they beat Charlton Southern or whatever, 13-0, the high school team. So they're not scoring. Then they lose to East Carr, an 18, 38-0. So that all gets blended in. And then something happens. So the first, they score 7, 13, and 0 the first 3 games against 18 Virginia, 18 East Carolina, and a high school team. Something happens, either they change quarterbacks or just something clicks. Then they score 38 on a decent South Alabama team, 7 against Old D, okay, and then it's 23 Lou Monroe, 45 App State, 44 on Marshall, and App State and Marshall are pretty good. So now I'm seeing them score, but the blend of the Virginia game and even the Charlton Southern and the East Carr, they didn't score at all. And then they started against South Alabama, and then here we go. Maybe they got an injury back or not. So if I take the last 5 games, they score 44, 45, 23, 7, and 38. The average, well, let's see, it's 90, 115, 120, 158 divided by 5. They're scoring over 30 points a game. But in the thing, I got them as a W, as if they're scoring 20 points a game, because I got the first couple of games blended in. And that is that's why you look at the last 5. So in the last 5, they're not a W. Okay, Virginia, first week. Their quarterback, I think, is, let's see, who's their quarterback? Guy named Hudson. Doesn't throw for a lot, 447. Charlie Brown is the quarterback for Georgia State. But if I go into the numbers, so I go into my college football where all my numbers are, if I can find it. So I'm on the spreadsheet for a second. So Coastal Carolina, they have a new quarterback, this Collier, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but all of a sudden they're running for 177. So the yards aren't there, but they're scoring more. So I have them as a 22-28, but I just said they're a 30. And they're not a 28 because Virginia lit them up. So if I recalibrate the 5, they're a different team. But the spread's 7.5 to a Z team. So I got kind of an over team playing a Z team, my favorite. So your free pick is Coastal Carolina laying 1.5. And I told you I'd have a Butte pick for you guys. I know the way you think, especially Titus. Titus is sitting there waiting for my picks. So there you go, Titus. Coastal Carolina. What we like about it is they're playing a Z team. They're at home and they're only laying 1.5, and they're starting to score 30 points a game. They had one bad game against Old D, who's a pretty good. Let's see what Old D is. Where's Old D? Well, I can't find them. They might not be playing this week. Like James Madison's a 16 defense. Marshall's a 32. But here we got Georgia State's a 40 defense, so they should score. I know you're waiting for him, Titus. There you go. I give you one free. I'll give you the pro one, too, as soon as I figure it out. I'm being very delicate on my free pick and on my picks this week. Sometimes I'm a little too quick. So I put some really solid ones out there. Pretty much all my colleges out there. And then my pros, I have some pros because we got a game tonight. Prof at Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland has just passed away. I never heard of the guy. Is he on the team now, or is he like he played 20 years ago? So you're going to bet Dallas because the guy died or what? Actually, I don't think you are. I don't think they're playing. Yeah, Dallas is off this week. Okay, so that's your fee play. Auburn, Vandy. Vandy 6.5, 45.5. 18 Vandy with 20 defense. Under Auburn 17. Hugh Freeze was fired again. 6.5, 46.5. Auburn, an under team. Who knows with the quarterback, with the coach now. Vandy, you got Daggio, very, very solid, especially at home. They beat Missouri. The only loss coming to Alabama. Oh, and then they just lost to Texas, but they did put up a big number on them. Washington goes to Wisconsin. Washington 11.5, 44.5. Washington's an 18 with the 20 defense. Very good quarterback. He's a little young. And Wisconsin's an under team with the 23 without a good quarterback. It's a tough one. It's a 4:30 game, so it's 1:30 for Washington. So it's a good time for them. Wisconsin's just terrible. No, the bad quarterback, not a lot of scoring, and a 23 defense. So, it's tough again with this travel, but you kind of like Washington is 6-2. They need the game. Wisconsin's just 2-6. So you think Washington should be good here. Again, it's the travel. Wisconsin with a pretty good defense. So we'll see. The Air Force against San Jose State. San Jose State 5.5, 66.5. San Jose State, an over team. Air Force, an over team. 35 defense. San Jose State had a 30 defense. Both strong scoring. San Jose State's really lit it up the last 3 or 4 games, like Coastal Carolina's lit it up. I was debating about making a play on this one. Air Force is just, I don't know, their defense is gone, but they score a lot. I think they hired a new coach, I think, and he's been more of a passing coach. So they score, but no defense. And San Jose State's been scoring a ton. Eget's the quarterback. He's been playing pretty well. Interesting game there. Cal goes to Louisville. Louisville 20.5 up from 18. And 50. Cal an 18, 25 defense. Louisville beat Miami an 18 with a 20. Louisville's 7-1. They have to have it. 7 o'clock game. So it's not too early for Cal. It's 4 o'clock for them, which is good. It seems like a big number. Cal's not bad, but Louisville's strong at home, good quarterback. Titus. What happens to the team because of a coach change? Well, you've got to get adjusted to the new coach. Now, the question is usually it's an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. So not a lot different because of that. Right? They're not bringing in a new coach out of the blue like Southern Miss did. So in the offseason, Southern Miss hires the coach from Marshall and get the quarterback and all the players. In this case, Auburn fired Hugh Freeze. I would assume the offensive or defensive coordinator takes over, and he's not going to change anything. Same offense, same defense. You don't want to make the change in the middle of the year. Now, I don't know what happened with Hugh Freeze, that he didn't finish the year out, or Brian Kelly at LSU, right? Why didn't they let him finish the year? What is that? So it's kind of crazy because Brian Kelly, I'm sure, had a big buyout. I would have let him go after. I would have let him coach the year out. Like if they would have beat Alabama this week, maybe he keeps his job, but you let him go before then. But more than likely, it's the offensive or defensive coordinator for LSU, for Auburn, for a lot of these teams when they fire the coach. Penn State, I think it's their offensive coordinator. So not a lot changes because you're not going to bring in a whole new system. You're dealt with what you got, so probably not. It's when they bring them in, like the Bears brought in the Lions offensive coordinator, but that was, now they've switched everything to go because now he's had 6 months to get the team ready. So there's a difference getting a new coach, after the year's over, and then he puts a system in like the Southern Miss guy. Southern Miss has been pretty good this year versus in the middle of the year. There's no time to do that. So you hire the coordinator. He keeps the team running pretty much the same it was. Then you wonder why they got rid of the coach if they're going to bring in the coordinator. Prophet. Now, he's the guy that blocked the Arizona punt last on Monday Night Football, which was recovered for a touchdown. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's sad to see guys die, but we don't really have an option, and we're all going to die, so it's too bad. But yeah, what happened to him? I mean, guys that are playing aren't dying usually. It's guys that, they played 30 years ago, and they're dying because of all the hits they took. All right, Virginia, Wake Forest. Virginia 6.5, 48.5. We like the Virginia quarterback. They're 8-1. They score a lot, and they're at home. Florida State, Clemson. I have no idea what to do here. Clemson 1.5, 56.5. What the hell do you do? Florida State, pretty good offense, pretty weak 20 defense. Clemson, where did their offense go? 24 defense and a 56 total. Florida State's actually an overtime. They've been scoring a lot. They've just been losing a lot. So they're 4-4. Clemson's 3-5. I really don't know who can you trust here. The problem is, what I normally do is I know Florida State's a live dog here, or Clemson. Look at them. I wouldn't bet against them. You really have no feel for these teams. Clemson, I don't know. Their quarterback stinks. Their coach should be fired. They're not they've won 3 games. They lost to Syracuse. They lost to my Georgia Tech. Florida State's even worse. They lost to Stanford. So you're betting on very weak teams with very big names. You go to Stanford and lose. How am I supposed to bet on you? Clemson loses to Syracuse. How am I supposed to bet on you? So I don't know what to do with these teams. So if I look at it, Florida State's an over team with the 20 defense. Clemson's an E team with the 24. Well, that doesn't help me. The line went from 3 to 1.5. Do I want the dog? I don't know. These teams are shitty. Prophet. Well, you're welcome, Titus. Happy to help. That's why I do what I do. I just, when it comes to football, I do expect to, this is a business. When it's economics, I'm trying to help everybody because I don't want to see everybody get hurt. For football, it's a choice. You don't have to gamble if you do. You don't have to bet football if you do. That's a choice. You have no choice with your money. You're going to get fucked. And so that's what I'm being Batman. I'm protecting everybody. All right, Navy, Notre Dame, 26.5, 56.5, up from 25. Navy, pretty good team. They're an A team this year, 24. Notre Dame's an A team with the 20. They play each other every year for some reason. Who's only 24? Well, it's probably drugs or something, I would assume, Prophet. So you have, Navy, Notre Dame always wins this game. It's at home. It's really a big number, 26. I'm not running to take Notre Dame here. Navy can score a little bit. They have a decent defense. Last year, Navy turned the ball over a lot. They had like 4 or 5 turnovers, and the game was over in the first quarter. If they don't have the turnovers, and I like their quarterback, Blake Horwath, they can stay with them a little bit. It's a tough one because it's a big number. LSU, fucking Bama is 10, still 10 and 49.5. LSU with the new coach, E-team with an 18 defense, but I don't buy it because Vanderbilt lit them up for 30. Alabama, an 18 with an 18 defense, which I do kind of buy that defense, but their offense is really good. So I don't think a new coach is going to help LSU in this game. Florida goes to Kentucky. Kentucky's a W with the 27 defense. Florida's 43.5, down from 45. Florida, an under team with the 20 defense, did beat Texas somehow. I still don't understand that. Played Georgia tough, 24-20. I don't know if they played Florida State yet. But, you know, Florida's got some talent. I think they fired their coach too. Napier, I think, got fired. So you got a lot of these SEC coaches getting fired. Well, I don't know. I think it's a big mistake. Like Brian Kelly, I fired him before. Let him, hey, you beat Alabama, you keep your job. Okay. That's what I would have done instead of just firing him. Let's see. Nebraska, UCLA. I'm really twisted on this one. UCLA 1.5, 43.5. Nebraska, an E-team. Quarterback broke his leg last week against USC, which is why the game didn't go over. We got injured in the game. He breaks his leg. They bring in a freshman. The freshmen can't do anything. So USC decides to run the ball, run the clock, knowing that this freshman's not going to do shit. And he didn't, and it was 21-17. Had the guy not broke his leg, he goes and scores, and that makes USC score, and it goes back and forth instead of 21-17. Again, was it a good pick? Absolutely. But it lost. And, okay, I get it. But it's not. It was USC over is usually a good pick. And Nebraska scores 30 points a game. Wasn't a bad play. I thought Nebraska would score on them. I thought it was like Notre Dame game. And we didn't need much, just get into the 50s, which is 28-27. All right. So Nebraska, no quarterback, freshman with a 20 defense, and UCLA an E-team with a 31, but it's all fucked up because their offense is so much better. I look at the Penn State game, and they beat Penn State 42-36. And I think you're going to see – I don't think Nebraska can score that much. I think UCLA gets the W here. I'm debating about playing. I haven't played them yet. I'm a little scared of the Nebraska defense. But UCLA did beat Penn. I mean, that's the thing. That's when they switch coordinators and they beat Penn State. And Penn State has a 19 defense, right? And here's Nebraska with the 20. So they put up 40 on a 19 defense at Penn State. I think the key here is it's at UCLA. And Nebraska without their quarterback, I am not leaning. Now, if their quarterback was there, I would take them as a dog. They'd be a live dog. They're not a live dog with this freshman quarterback. I'm sorry. On the road, didn't show anything against USC, and I don't think he's going to show much here. So I kind of like UCLA with the new offensive coordinator, I think. And they're only laying 1.5, and I'm really confused. Like, why is it 1.5? It's sort of like the A&M Missouri game. Why is A&M 6.5? Like, they lost their quarterback. And so, again, that's why I caution you because we don't know. He could be Cam Rising or Tyler Van Dyke. That's how we found them. But maybe not. Maybe they're Fred Montana instead of Joe Montana. So we need to see. All right. So I'm kind of leaning a little towards UCLA there, only because of the new offensive coordinator and they're actually playing well. But it's tough because Nebraska's got a good defense. They'll probably run the ball. Maybe this goes to an under. The total is 44. because Nebraska's game plan is going to be, we're going to run because we don't have a quarterback, and UCLA is going to be good. But then if UCLA starts pulling away, Nebraska's forced to throw, and then there'll be interceptions in that. Here's a surprise team. San Diego State, Hawaii. This is the 11 p.m. game. San Diego State 749.5, up from 5.5. San Diego State's an A team with a 10 defense. How many students knew that one? Raise your hand. Hawaii is a pretty good team. They're an over team with the 26 defense. The quarterback's good. They can score. With the 26 defense, they are at home where they play better because everybody goes on the beach, and Hawaii's on the beach all the time, so they don't care. So that's a sneaky game there. San Diego State is an A, playing the over Hawaii team, laying the 7. So your free play, Coastal Carolina. I've got 2 locks posted. Is it a college? I have a college. I don't know what I have. I'm so intent. I'm not remembering. I love the locks when I post them. Yeah, okay. It's a college lock. Here we go. So I got 3 college locks, but I went out of the norm. Instead of Ohio State under and Ala fucking Bama or whatever. I went 5th dimensional on you guys. So that's what we got. And I really love the locks. I think they're very strong. I got them as 25 units, both of them. One is a college pro lock and one is a college lock. The pro lock, let's go into the pros now. I've had a real hard time lock. I've liked so many games that it was a little difficult to figure out which one to lock. I kind of got burned by the Lions last week. I was 8-1 through Sunday until Sunday night. I lost with Washington when Penix got hurt. I think it was Washington. Yeah. I had a small play on Washington and then a small Dallas over. So I go 8-3, but I was 8-1. I hit the Thursday night game and all the Sundays, and my only loser was fucking Detroit against JJ McCarthy. Now you tell me how you bet on Minnesota with JJ McCarthy? Yeah, I don't think so. That's just a fluke. And it wasn't JJ McCarthy that beat the Lions. It was the defense. So now I've stumbled onto something on the Lions that we're going to make a fortune on. Cowboys defensive end, dead at 24. And the question is, was he doing drugs? What happened? Was he shot for gambling? Did he fuck around with the wrong people wanting him to do it? NFL injury updates. So from what I can tell, tonight we have Geno Smith against Bo Nix. Atlanta Indy on Sunday morning, it's Penix against Daniel Jones. Trevor Lawrence goes against Mills. We've got Stroud out with the concussion. It was a really weird concussion. I saw the play. He didn't get hit in the head. He was sliding. It was a late slide. The guy bumped him with his shoulder pad. He didn't use helmet to helmet. And then he was out, and you're like, he didn't even get hit in the head, or it was a whiplash maybe. You didn't see it, but he's out. He's already out. So I'm curious if it's a Tagovailoa injury, that he's like out for a month or something. Because usually after concussion, he's back the next week, but not this time. All right. We don't care about the guy dying. He wasn't a quarterback. All right. So we've got Lawrence against Mills for Houston. We've got Tyler Shaw against Steve Young in New Orleans, Carolina. We got Drake May going against the Baker, New England, Tampa, a very good game. We got Gabriel going against Fields, Cleveland at the Jets. The Jets were favored, and now Cleveland's favored. Don't really understand that. We got Lamar against J.J. McCarthy. It's J.J. McCarthy. We know he sucks, so I don't know how he beat the Lions, which is why I believe the Lions defensive coordinator needs to be fired. You can't let a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who can't throw a ball 5 yards, have 15 minutes to throw, which is what they did. On the one touchdown to Hockenson, the tight end, he rolled to the right. He could have had a Coke and a hot dog and then thrown. He had no pressure. In fact, on the one, Hutchinson, the big superstar for the Lions, fucked up and went inside. He had the whole outside to sit there for 5 minutes and go, let's see. What are you doing? You can't go inside if the other guy doesn't loop outside, and the other guy didn't loop outside. You have to keep the outside. What are you doing? So this Hutchinson looks like crap since that injury, I'll tell you that. They paid him his money, and now he doesn't care. He's, I got my money. That's all I care about. All right. Buffalo, we got Allen against Tagliavua. We got Dart going against Caleb. What are these guys doing in the league? It's funny. I can go down to the SEC and the Big 12 and have better quarterbacks than any of these guys. Dart against Caleb. Really? We got Brissett going against Darnold. Kyler Murray's out for a month at least with the foot. Or the fact he sucks and Brissett's better. They're just doing what they did with J.J. McCarthy, faking an injury. Darnold's playing pretty well until he gets into a big game. Detroit, we got Golf against Mariota. We know that Daniels is out for probably the season with the bad elbow. I don't know why they were. This is the problem when you run the quarterback, especially in the pros or in college, but you shouldn't be running the quarterback. What are you doing? So they're running the quarterback. He gets hurt, breaks his elbow or whatever. I don't know. Stafford against the other Mac Jones for Frisco with the Rams. Aaron Rodgers goes against Herbert in a good game, San Diego, Pittsburgh at San Diego. And then Philly and Green Bay, it's Hurts against Love, two mediocre quarterbacks. If Hurts is so good, then he should win this game. He should throw for 250 and that, although he's got Micah Parsons. So Micah Parsons, so that means you're going to run Barkley a lot. Love, terrible. You're going to run the other Jacobs from Alabama. Probably actually looks like could be an under game, but I haven't gotten that far yet. Prophet, it will be very interesting to find out what happened here. Well, it's probably drugs related or gambling related, I guess. That's a big problem with some of the defensive teams that not pressuring the quarterback. Well, Lamar is a running quarterback twice. Well, that's exactly, and that's what Hurts is, and half of these, Dart and May, and these guys are not good quarterbacks. You got Jerry Rice. You want to throw the ball at Jerry Rice. I don't want a running quarterback. That's why they didn't win with Steve Young. He never threw the ball. Well, exactly. I mean, you got a guy like J.J. McCarthy. You've got to pressure him. That's why I have a problem with the defensive coordinator, and I have a problem with Hutchinson. What is he doing? He's going inside and he's letting the guy roll out. Why do you keep letting these right-handed quarterbacks roll to the right? We saw Drake May do it against Buffalo. Is Buffalo this stupid they can't maybe box out the right? We see C.J. Stroud do it all the time. We see May. We see Dart. And now we're seeing McCarthy. We see Fields do it. And Stroud, they want to run to the right. They think, well, they don't want to run, so they're going to throw. But they always run to the right. And then it becomes a one-man route because everybody on the left isn't going to catch the ball because he can't throw it all the way across. So there's one guy dragging to the right. What's the defense? What you can't figure out what he's going to do. And that's where I agree. I blame the defensive coordinator. You know what he's going to do. So what you should do, if I'm the defensive coordinator of any team and I'm playing J.J. McCarthy, you know what I do? I put a safety up, not a linebacker, but a safety. And I stand him up like Micah Parsons is doing, and he's fast, and I let him go after. I don't spy. I go after. You never spy. Spying is the idiot's spy. Because if you spy Lamar and he starts running, you're still standing still. He's going to fake you out every time. You can't possibly tackle him if you spy him. But if you blitz him, now he's got nowhere to go, and he's going to go down. You're going to sack him. That's what I believe Minnesota's going to do. Minnesota's defense beat the Lions, and I think they're going to beat Baltimore. I would not trust Lamar in this game running around. The biggest thing was Detroit couldn't run the ball. And if they can't run the ball, as we see, this is the third game they played a good defense that stopped the run. Green Bay, Kansas City, and now Minnesota. They couldn't run the ball, and they lost 3 times now. So I think the league's figured them out. Stop their little running to the left. Plus, now you've got their offensive line sucks. The center retired. So they got a new center and 2 new guards, and they suck. Penny Sewell, who's supposedly really good, he's on the right side. So you're running left with the tackle who's on the right side. Why isn't he the left tackle? What are you, stupid? And that's the problem with the Lions. They're paying their tackle $30 million. Well, surprise, surprise, nobody pays their right tackle $30 million because it's a stupid position to pay. Because you need the left tackle to back the quarterback up. So you got a weaker tackle at left tackle, and now you can't run it left between the injuries and everything. Now you're fucked. Maybe you need to move your right tackle to left tackle, but they're not that smart. And everybody knows your plays. You're either going to run left or you're going to fake it, and then Goff's going to roll back while they're waiting for him there. And once the running goes away and Goff, it's now 3rd and 10, then they blitz him. You get him off his spot. He throws interceptions and gets sacked. He's no good. He's a pussy. So you don't have a good quarterback, and if you can't run the ball and then play these little play action games, you're dead, as we saw against Minnesota and Green Bay and Kansas City. And this week, they play Washington, who has a 26 defense, who doesn't have a Minnesota or Green Bay defense. The Lions should do well this week because they're playing a weak defense. So the way you mark Detroit is who is their defense. And if it's a good, like Minnesota is a 23 defense, but we know how good they are. And Harrison Smith's back. He had a few good plays. But they're going to struggle against Green Bay the second time they play them. They're going to struggle when they play Philadelphia. They're going to struggle against the Rams. The only reason they beat Baltimore is they don't have a good defense. Baltimore's got a 27 defense, so they're able to move on them. But as you saw against Kansas City and their lovely, what have they got? Their lovely 16 defense, they put them to sleep. If they play Houston, they're going to struggle, but they don't play them this year. So that's your quarterback look. Now, I have a friend in Vegas, and he says, I'm not going to play the game because of the quarterback. And I go, you're missing a golden opportunity. For example, New Orleans, Carolina, you got Shaw against Young. This turns into an underplay. Well, I can't play New Orleans. Yeah, they're not going to score. They got Tyler Shaw. He wasn't very good at Texas Tech, and then he went to Louisville, and he was okay there. He wasn't a superstar. He's going to do better at New Orleans in the pros. So, I mean, you take advantage of he's not a good quarterback. They're not going to score points. It's an under game. instead of saying, well, I don't know what to do with the quarterback. No, when you got two lousy quarterbacks, the game goes under. And how many times have we played it under and won because the quarterbacks sucked? But Titus is right. Lamar's a running quarterback. And when he gets in against the better teams like KC, Buffalo, Philadelphia, he's not going to do anything. And like, who did they lose? They lost to Houston. They lost to the Rams, two very strong defensive teams. He didn't even play in the games, and they got shut out by Houston, 44-0. What was that? That's the luck I've been having. Here I play the game under, and it's 44-0, and the total was, I don't know, or maybe it was 44-7 or something. But how is Houston scoring 44? That's just the way the luck goes. You know, you make the right play, but it's not getting the result that it should. There's no way Houston should score 44 points on anybody with C.J. Stroud in the week. But I think their defense scored points because Baltimore's backup was in. So let's go through the line. Well, let's go through the under. Patrick Surtain is out tonight. The Raiders will have all their big names active. Oh, I did Brock Bowers, I guess. On Wednesday, Texas announced CJ. Yeah, I already said that. He's on the injury reserve. Cowboy, and the guy died. See, I don't care when they say they sit out practice or they're not a participant. It doesn't mean anything. A lot of guys just take the day off or they're a little hurt because it's football. So when I hear they didn't practice, that's a waste of time. Ravens had no new injuries to report for Wednesday. How about the old injuries? Patriots. Yeah, see, these are do not practice. I don't care about them. They're one cornerback for New England, Christian Gonzalez, is a concussion. Stevenson has a toe, the running back, and Bote, my guy from LSU, the receiver, has got a hamstring. Rams head coach Sean McVay says wide receiver Pukanuka should be good for Sunday. All right. Now the Niners won the first game in LA on a Thursday night. Now we get them at Frisco, and the Rams are 3-point favorites. Sauce Gardner's practicing for Indy. Who really cares? James Cook misses Wednesday's practice due to a foot and ankle injuries. Cook suffered the injury during obviously. Lions, Penny Sewell did not practice for Wednesday's practice. He's got a shoulder injury. He'll play. I don't buy that he's like the best. He's a Hall of Famer and all that. Come on, give me a break. He's not even playing the right side. He's playing the left side. He's playing the right side. He'll probably play with the injury. But it's a big injury if he's out. Brock Purdy, limited with the toe. Cardinals, yeah, Kyler Murray. C.J. Stroud will miss Sunday. Yeah, we know he's out with the hamstring. Dowdell, who got 200 yards against Green Bay last week, did not participate in practice. See, this is the problem. He got a quad injury. Yeah, that he'll play the next game. All right, so that's basically, I think we've got that covered. All right, Denver, 9:43 tonight to Oakland. Denver, the B team with an 18 defense, strong defense. Oakland, a W, and their problem is their defense. is a 26. And that's a problem. We got Smith against Knicks. Denver 10-0 as a home favorite, and 25-2 since last year. So with Bo Nix, they're 25-2 in a teaser. There you go. Atlanta, Indy 6.5, 48.5. This game is in London or Germany or wherever, somewhere in Europe. It's funny, the war's going on, but no, we'll play football there. Surprised they're not playing in the Ukraine or Russia. Yeah, let's play the game from Moscow. Yeah, we're gonna break the war so they can play the game, and then we'll continue. Unbelievable. All right. Indy 6.5, 48.5. Really no trend. Indy's 8-1 this year in a teaser, as you would expect. Penix against Jones. Atlanta, an under team with the 22 defense. Pretty good defense. Indy's is an A team rolling everybody, but they lost to the Rams 27-20, and they lost to Pitt 27-20. The rest of the teams were like Tennessee and kind of weaker teams. So really, I would think this will be a close game, in my opinion. Jacksonville, Houston. Jacksonville, 1.5, 38. Surprising the total really didn't drop. Jacksonville, we got Lawrence against Mills. Both under teams, 23 defense for Jacksonville, 15 for Houston, and the Travis Hunter's out for the year. Hurt his knee in practice, not even a game. I think he's just milking it for the money. Houston 9-1 this year, 24-3 the last 2 years, 8-0. They're 9-1 as a home favorite, 24-3 last year and this year, and 8-0 this year in a teaser. So they're strong in a teaser, but you've lost Stroud. Variables change. Now what do we do? Exactly. New Orleans, Carolina. Carolina 5.5, 39.5. New Orleans, the Z team with the 27. Carolina, an under team with the 23. Shaw against Young. Play against New Orleans as a road dog, 9-1. Play against New Orleans also 8-0 overall. So they're bad. They're 8-0 against this year, and they're 9-1 as a road dog. Problem is you got to go with Steve Young. In Carolina, they got a decent defense at 23, where New Orleans is just a Z team. So you might bet against the Z team, but you got to do it with Carolina. Good luck there. How much can you trust them? Good game. Tampa 2.5, 48. To New England, a B team. Bote, well, he's questionable. 19 defense, and Tampa has got a 22 defense. The Baker against May. Now here's Drake May's stats for everybody who loves him. He's 17 touchdowns, 4 picks, sacked 34 times. I think the most in the league. They're 8-1 this year in a teaser. Tampa Bay 12-2 as a home favorite, 39-6 the last 2 years, 7-1 as a home favorite last year, 23-3 last year and this year in a teaser. These guys are great. Now, here you got New England, so this makes it a little difficult. It's like playing KC. You kind of throw the numbers out going, I don't want to fuck with KC. I think Tampa wins here, 2.5. I think 3.5 wins. I think they just handled Drake May. They had a bye, so the receivers hopefully got a little better. Mbaka and the others, and Baker's very strong. So it's a very good game. I don't know if New England's a live dog, as I should. Again, I don't have enough information. Again, they're playing the week schedule, the Jets and Miami and the Giants and New Orleans. Oh, yeah. But then they did beat Buffalo and all those stupid little short passes. So not really sure what to do with New England. This will help us, but as a brush, this is a Tampa Bay play, 23-3 in a teaser. What else you want? It's like Denver tonight's 25-2 in a teaser. You can bet them and you can lose, but you're betting a 95% trend. So if I lose with the 95% trend, oh well, shit happens. But how else are you supposed to pick the games? This is where I'm perplexed because there's got to be some process to picking. So that's kind of what you're doing that's why I bring the teaser trends in when I can. Now I can with Tampa because Baker's been there a couple, 3-4 years now since Brady left. Denver, it's all Bo Nix, so I can do that. Washington gets a little perplexed because you have with Washington you have Daniels, but then he's been hurt a little bit. So Mariota's been so now they're getting skewed. So now you almost need a Penix, a Daniels trend, and a Mariota trend. Cleveland and the Jets. Cleveland 2.5, 38. It was the Jets. Now Cleveland. Cleveland's a W team with Dylan Gabriel is very good. The Jets are a W with a 28 and Fields, who sucks. I looked at Fields' stats. He's got 5 touchdowns and no picks, and we're in week 10. He runs too much. Play against home dog Jets are 6-0. Play against the Jets 22-3. But is Cleveland good enough to take Cleveland? Again, it's kind of a hard thing because you got Cleveland, who's really, I don't know, they're not strong enough to be a road favorite even against the JETSs. But I don't know. I like Cleveland as the dog, but it quickly switched to them being favorite. I don't like the Jets at all, ever, so I can't play them. Baltimore, Minnesota. Baltimore 449. Lamar against JJ, not a real quarterback in the bunch. Baltimore, an over team with a 27 defense. That's what's killing Baltimore. Minnesota, an under team with a 23 defense. So Baltimore beat Miami. Oh boy. Miami couldn't beat Alabama or Ohio State or Indiana. Now I can add to the list. Again, Minnesota beat the Lions. J.J. McCarthy, I'm not buying him at all. Minnesota is 7-0 as a home dog, 21-5 the last year and a half. Baltimore 15-3 as a road favorite. So they play good road favorites. A lot of Derrick Henry. However, here you got this Minnesota defense, and they're just going to shut down Lamar, and they're going to shut down Henry. It's a very good defense, even though it's a 23. Your problem is JJ. Baltimore will blitz him. They're not going to let him sit back there. See, you got to know the coach. Kansas City would blitz the shit out of him. San Diego will blitz the shit out of him. So will Denver. But the Lions did not blitz him, and that was a big mistake. Here you got Baltimore probably will blitz him. And again, it becomes defensively. So it's a really tough one because you don't really want to bet against Baltimore. However, Minnesota beating Detroit was not a fluke. They beat them pretty bad. 23 defense. It's hard to go under with Lamar and a weak defense. You've got to almost play it over. They did go over with the Lions. It was a 50-point game. It was 27-20. It was a 51. The total is 49. Maybe you go over 43, possibly. That's about all you can look at here. Do you take Minnesota in 10.5? Well, again, you're worried about Lamar and Henry, but you have the defense. And the problem is you got J.J. McCarthy, which you cannot trust him. Now, if they beat Detroit, and now they beat Baltimore, and they won at Detroit. So if they beat Baltimore now, maybe we can start betting JJ. Same thing with Drake May. We can't really start betting him. He hasn't proven anything. Buffalo is 9.5, 50 to Miami. Buffalo an 18, big win over KC, 21. They won't be flat because they still trail New England. They're 6-2, and New England is, I think, New England's 7-2. So they're behind. They won't be flat. And it's Miami who sucks. Miami with the 27 defense. So look for Allen against Tay. Buffalo 6-2 is a road favorite. 23-5. Play against Miami this year 8-1. So this should be all Buffalo. They should see. Here's where the defense. Baltimore were worried about Minnesota's defense. Wait, they just shut down Detroit and Lamar. But with Buffalo, Miami, we got Buffalo with the 27 defense. Josh Allen's going to have a field day. That's why we look at the defense. That's the key to it. You find the weak defenses and you look for the good offenses. That's where Coastal Carolina came from. They're playing a 40 defense, but their offense got good. But it's mixed in the numbers. That's why you got to look at the last 4 or 5 weeks and pull it out. Now, in the NFL, we watch everything. So we're not watching Coastal Carolina, right? San Diego State, San Jose State, North Texas. We're very rarely watching them. NFL, we see every game. It's on YouTube. I can go through the whole thing. There's games on TV now, the Thursday game, the Sunday game, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. So you see the game. So we don't need the same look at the last 5 games. We can remember the last 5 games, right? We know Minnesota beat Detroit at Detroit last week. All right. So let's go with that. So we'll take Buffalo, Miami. Let's make this our free play. All right. So take Buffalo, lay the 3.5. This is exactly what we want. A good team who needs the game. We just beat Kansas City, who is playing Miami, who's got no defense, no offense. Tyreek Hill's out. Cook, all right, he sat out. Believe me, Cook's going to play. If he doesn't, they got other running backs, or Allen runs, or he throws. It doesn't matter. You have Buffalo here needing the game off of the win. They're not going to be flat. They have to win. Exactly what we were looking for. So we're going against the weak defense. I see very, very slim chance of Miami winning. I see a very, very slim chance this game isn't a 10 to 14 point win. So go Buffalo, lay the 3.5 there. The Giants go to the Bears, and that just came. I didn't know what my free play was going to be in the pros, but I do like 6 or 7 games. But that just hit me, so it's a winner. Giants, Bears, 4.5, 46.5. This keeps going 4.5, 3.5, 4.5, 3.5, 4.5, and 48 down to 47, we'll call it. Giants, a W, 28 defense, dart. The Bears, an over team with the 28 defense. And Caleb, well, how can the Bears be over and Giants be W? They both have 28 defenses because the Giants score about 20 a game and the Bears score about 28 or 30 a game. So it makes it an over because they can score. So what I'm not showing is the W says they don't score a lot. The Z says they don't score at all. The W, they score a little. And we see the defenses are 28. Field should have a good day, or Caleb, or whoever the hell it is. You go from Fields to Caleb. Boy, this GM, what's he, drunk? I mean, you don't know what he's doing. So both have 28 defenses. With Scatterboo, this would be a lock over. Clearly, because Dart's okay, but with Scatterboo, he's going to score you 3 touchdowns. Chicago is an over team. Both defenses kind of suck. Play against the Giants as a road dog is 10-2, 5-0 this year, 5-2 last year. Arizona, Seattle 6.5, 45. Arizona's an under team, but they're going with Brissett. They score a little bit more with him. They beat Dallas. They seem to have a very good defense at 21. Seattle's an A team with a 19 defense. Brissett against Darnell. Arizona's 7-1 in a teaser this year and 7-1 against. Seattle's 7-1 in the teaser. So this should be a close game where both teams cover in a teaser. Detroit goes to Washington. Detroit is 8-49. That's probably due to the injury to Penei Sewell. We read the right tackle. Detroit B team 22 defense and golf. They're 13-1 as a road favorite. However, last year and this year, Washington's a W team without Daniels and a 26 defense, and they got Mariota. Now, this is almost like last week, except for Washington's defense is not as good as Minnesota's. You had J.J. McCarthy, so we played Detroit. And now we've got Mariota. And what are they going to do? The same shit? I mean, I could almost see the same game, except for they don't have the defense. Detroit doesn't lose back-to-back games, I keep hearing from our morons on the radio. I love the Detroit radio. They think they know what they're talking about. And I just laugh. What a bunch of idiots. All right. So Detroit -8. I was thinking of making this the free play down to 2, weak defense in Mariota. I mean, it still should be a Detroit play, but now we got to watch the Sewell playing, and I think he'll play. He has a sore shoulder, big deal. And they've got offensive line issues, Detroit. So maybe this is an underplay, but I don't know. Detroit gets going. How strong is Washington's defense? They got a 26. The Rams go to the Niners. The Rams are now 4.5, 49.5, up from 3.5. Rams are the A team with the 16 defense. Stafford, 21 touchdowns. Rams, 38-7 in the teaser the last 3 years. 7-0 is a road favorite. 23-4 last year, 7-1 this year. So if you just look at last year and this year, they're 23-4, and 7-0 is a road favorite. The Niners, an under team with a 21 in Jones and no trends. And how good's Mac Jones? Now, this is also revenge. They went to LA and beat them somehow. Now, if they did that, why aren't they favored? This would have been my lock. If the Niners were favored, I would have locked the Rams. Anytime I get the Rams in points, it's going to be a big play. Because with Stafford, they got the running, they've got the defense, they got a pretty good coach. Puka Nuka's back. That's why the line went up to 4.5. And again, another big road favorite, strong play, the Rams. That's why I love the teaser trends. You don't know anything about football, but all you have to do is read the trends. You go, shit, LA's 23-4. You got Tampa Bay 23-3, and you got Denver 25-2. What do I need to know about the games? All I got to do is read the trends. Hence why we do teasers. And we win a lot of games that we would have lost because the fix is in on the straight bet, not on the teaser. Pitt, San Diego 345. Rodgers against Herbert. Pitt, an over team with the 24 defense. San Diego is more of an under team with a 21. Herbert looks like shit this year. All the running backs are out. Harbaugh keeps waiting for the Northwestern game or the Illinois game. You don't know what he's doing in the pros. San Diego is 6-3. Pitt 5-3. Pitt's winning their division. Baltimore is coming, so Pitt realizes this. Rodgers is playing very well. This should be a good game. I'm not sure what to do with it. And our last game, Philly, Green Bay. Green Bay 2.5, 44.5. They're both E teams. Philly with the 23 defense, Green Bay with the 21. I think Philly won the Super Bowl, let a lot of their defense go free agent because they couldn't afford to pay Barkley and then Hurts and then some of the receivers. They're starting to pay him $25-30 million, and then they can't pay the defense. You can't win without the defense. So I'm a little not sure what to do. Philly 4-0 is a road dog. They're not a road dog often. They did win at Kansas City. And Green Bay 9-2 is a home favorite. They're usually pretty good at home. They did beat the Lions at home. I look for a close game in this one. So that's what you have. Free pick is Buffalo. Uh, I'm going to go through the quarterbacks as I promised. We'll go through the pro quarterbacks. All right, so I'm just going to go through the teams. College would take too long, but I could hit like the SEC or the Big Ten. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. So Daniels, 14 touchdowns, 6 picks, 14 sacks. Jared Goff, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks, 18 sacks. Gets sacked a lot. Josh Allen, 13-4, 17 sacks. Dak Prescott, 17-6, 15 sacks. So again, the first number is touchdowns, the second number is interceptions. Sam Darnold, 16-5 with 9 sacks. The key is he's not getting sacked. Caleb, 12-4 with 14 sacks. That's because the coach is getting the ball out of his hands more. Here's the problem. Drake May, 17-4 with 34 sacks. He's the leader. He gets sacked the most. He doesn't understand reading the defense. This is my problem with him. They'll just blitz him and then he'll go down or he'll start running. But that's not what you want. Mahomes, 17-5, but with only 17 sacks. Stafford, 21 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 13 sacks. That's the difference. Stafford, 21-2 and 13, and Drake May, 17-4 with 34. Golf, 17-3 with 18. It just shows you. Jalen Hurts, 15-1, 25 sacks. Jordan Love, 13-3 with 11 sacks. Rodgers, 17-5 with 15 sacks. Lamar, good stats, 14-1, 17 sacks. Guy like that should not have 17 sacks. Bo Nix, 17-6 with only 9 sacks. He really can read a defense. He's outstanding. The Baker, 13-2 with 17 sacks. Flacco, 13-8 with 16 sacks on 2 different teams. Herbert, 18-8, 28 sacks. There's another problem. San Diego's offensive line is a mess, a lot of injuries, getting sacked a lot. J.J. McCarthy, 4-4. Now, he's only played in 3 games. He's got 14 sacks already. He's going to be another one with these, as he plays, he's going to have 50 sacks. It's all his fault because he gets the ball. He doesn't know where he's going. He runs around. It's a miracle that he finds the guy wide open in the end zone. But that's the Lions' problem for not blitzing. Brissett, 6-1 with 13 sacks. Mariota, 4-4 with 7 sacks, but he's played 3 games. Trevor Lawrence. Now, here's Trevor Lawrence's problem. 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 21 sacks. He's not productive. He doesn't get touchdowns, too many interceptions, a.k.a. he sucks. Jackson Dart for the Giants, 10-3 with 19 sacks, and he's not played all the games. Mac Jones for the Niners, 10-5, 16 sacks. C.J. Stroud, 11-5 with 17 sacks. That's his problem. Fields, 5-0 with 22 sacks, but he's not productive. He's only got 5 touchdowns. True, no interceptions, but they only throw for 184 yards a game. Tagovailoa, 15 touchdowns, 11 picks, 18 sacks. That's his problem. 11 picks. Steve Young, 11-6 with 12 sacks. A little bit better, still a lot of interceptions. Penix, 8-3 with 10 sacks. Again, he's missed some time. Geno Smith, 11-11 with 21 sacks. This is why the Raiders are having trouble. Their quarterback has 11 interceptions. Dylan Gabriel, 5-2 with 11 sacks. Tyler Shaw, 1 game, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 3 sacks. And Cam Ward, the leader in the clubhouse at 5 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 38 sacks, more than Drake May. And that's the reason that Cam Ward sucks. It's as simple as that. All right. In my little spreadsheet, I have all these unique little things that help me. Defense. Here's the best defenses. Houston, 15. How many points do they give up? The Rams, 16. KC, 18. Denver, 18. New England, 19. Seattle, 19. Indy, 20. So we'll just go through the 20 and unders. On the other side, the 26 and overs, Washington 26, Oakland 26, New Orleans 27, Miami 27, Baltimore 27, the Jets 28, the Giants 28, the Bears 28, Tennessee 29, Dallas 31, and Cincinnati 33. And this is the recipe to betting. I'm betting against Miami with Buffalo. Buffalo, on the other hand, is 29 points and gives up 21. So that's the variance. So you want to bet against the worst defenses. There you go. The Jets, the Giants, the Bears. So it's hard to bet these teams with the weak defenses. How do you bet the Jets Cleveland game? How do you bet you got the Giants and the Bears playing? They both suck defensively. Tennessee scores 14, gives up 29. Cincinnati at least scores now with Flacco, gives up 33. Dallas scores 29, gives up 31. How can you bet on them? Look what happened on Monday night. They fell apart. So conversely, let's look at the offenses. The best offense, we'll do the 25 and overs. Indy 32, Detroit 30, Buffalo 29, Dallas 29, Seattle 29. Little surprise there with Seattle. The Bears with 27. That's the new coach. New England with 26. KC, Mahomes, 26. Stafford, 26. Philadelphia, 26. Green Bay, 26. Pitt, 25. Baltimore, 25. Denver, 25. Tampa, 20. So you can see all the good teams score. Makes sense. Now we look at the shit teams. 22 and under. Washington, 22. Jacksonville 22, the Giants 22, the Niners 22, Houston 21, the Jets 21, Miami 20, Carolina 19, Atlanta 18, which is unbelievable with Penix, Oakland was 17, Cleveland 16, New Orleans 15, and Tennessee 14. So if you're looking for a team to bet, you just bet against Tennessee. And this week are they off? See, this is what sucks is when they're off. They're fucking off. Because when they're off, I can't bet against them. So then we go to New Orleans and they play at Carolina. Well, Carolina's not really strong enough. They only score 19 a game. So that's what makes it frustrating. Then you get New England, Tampa, and you get two good teams, and there you don't know what to do. So that's a little method of my madness, because that's really the basis. Oh, I'm going to bet against a shit defense. I mean, that's what we're doing with Coastal Carolina. They're starting to score, and they're playing a 40 defense. That's the method I came to kind of get away from just the teaser trend. In the pros, I can use the teaser trend. I can't use it in college. There's just too much. And even in the pros, I can't use the Bears this year because they got a new coach. I can't use Tennessee's really because they got a new quarterback, and now they get a new coach midseason. And so when you get these new coaches, the variables change. When you get the new quarterbacks, especially the drafted ones, it's a little easier with Flacco. We know he knows how to throw, and they become an over team, and we bet him. But when you got, Cam Ward, he sucked in college. So what are you looking at? Yeah, Cam Ward sucked at Washington State for 2 years. Don't give me that shit. He was not a number one pick. It's a bust. As they made the pick, it was a bust. Tyler Shaw, nothing to write home about. And Dart, he wants to run. Let's run like Drake May wants to run. And he's got 34 sacks. So now you know why he wants to run. He's getting sacked all the time. All right. Free play Buffalo over Miami. Free play Coastal Carolina over Georgia State. You laugh. But we'll see who has the last laugh, as the Joker would say. He who laughs last, laughs best. I remember that Joker episode. All right. So that's what we have. Real quickly, let's check our gold. And I know it's always like, well, why are you checking? It's paper, because there is no physical price. We just want to know. We know where it should be. We know where it's going. We just want to see what the paper's doing. Oh, we got a spike, 39.86. So all of a sudden we get this spike. We'll get back to 4,000, and right now it's just a game. And silver's back over 48. So again, this is it's meaningless because this isn't the physical price. This is the paper option price. But it's just watching like Andy Scheckman try to explain. Yeah, it was up too much. It had to take a breath or whatever. It's such bullshit. These guys are such idiots. Well, inflation is prices increasing. No, it's inflating the money supply, not prices. It takes more dollars to buy the steak because the dollars are worth less, is what it is, not prices going up. It's the dollar having no value. All right. So 39.85. Just think right now, gold's 4,000. By the end of the year, it should be 10,000. Well, no, it'll be 5 maybe. We'll get another big current coming. So there's a video I wanted to show you yesterday. So we'll watch a little of that. It's a stupid title. BRICS plan leaked. It's not leaked. We've known about it. How long did I talk about BRICS? At least a year ago, 2 years ago. And then he says silver no more. We can't watch too much because I can't take too much Andy Scheckman. But there's, well, let's watch Alligator. I can't really take it's Scheckman. And then there's this one from our good doctor. This new mineral destroys diabetes. I love how she comes up with these. The other one, she says you need magnesium. That's where you get diabetes and heart problems. And then I'm watching what food. Oh, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and the one I eat here every day, avocados. And I'm wondering why I'm pretty healthy. And that's kind of why I'm not low on my magnesium, which is critical in your body, which you don't get. But if you eat almonds, pumpkin seeds, avocados, you're getting your magnesium, and I'm not tired. I'm not this and that. And everything's fine. I don't have the diabetes. I don't have the high blood pressure because of what I eat. That's it. I still have a little candy or cookies or whatever once in a while, but the avocado neutralizes everything. So just understanding what you eat is really the key. Titus, yes, Professor, you talked about BRICS. Yeah, that's what he's talking. Yeah, well, and that's so we are prepared and way ahead. I talked about inflation 5 years ago, and that's when I told you to buy gold when it was 1800, because I know what's going to happen if you keep printing the money to zero. When Biden came out with that spending bill of like $7 trillion, you can't print $7 trillion. It's not backed by gold. And that made the debt go up into the 30s. The debt now hit 38 trillion. So what'll happen is the dollar's worthless. It has no value. And the only thing with value is gold and silver. I did a radio podcast last week. It's posted on my Twitter account, Teaser King, or it's posted on my LinkedIn, which I doubt you guys would go to my LinkedIn, but on my Twitter account, go to Teaser King. It'll show you, and it's a 40-minute radio. It was supposed to go 30, but I was so interesting they let me keep going. So it was a 40-minute thing, which I talk basically what I talk here, but it was good. Prophet, are you still talking the baking soda? No, not really. I don't need to. I don't know if it helped me or not. Maybe a little. I think the avocado and the Celtic salt and the cayenne pepper helps me more. But no, I don't take it. There's no reason to take it. All right, let's listen to Alligator. The vaults are empty, no gold left, which means the price of gold is about to go to the moon, which is good for us.
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions you can start implementing today. Number 1, the first step to tackling your credit card debt is understanding how much debt you actually have and how long it could.
And they got nothing. They've literally got no gold in there at all. They don't know how they're going to get it. I mean, really, and there's another problem, and that is that how do you invest in gold? Well, your compliance officer won't give you hell if you buy an ETF, but an ETF is actually quite an expensive way to do it. What you should do is buy physical metal and store it properly, and it'll cost you, basis points, no more than that. But the problem there is that gold and silver are not rated investments. So you've got a lot of explaining to do to your compliance officer. But that's
meaning if you guys go to your financial planners, which I tell you not to do, because they won't tell you to go into gold and silver because it's not regulated. So they really can't. The best they can do is an ETF or a stock. But we want to hold physical gold because it's worth 10 times the amount of this paper gold. Understand COMEX is paper gold. That's the bottom line, stone cold. COMEX is paper, contracts, and options. It is not physical. Therefore, they have a lot more gold, paper gold, than there is physical, which is the first problem. If I only have 10 of these, Canadian Club 12 years, and there's probably not a lot more than that out there, it's worth a lot more than if I have 10,000. Well, so that's physical versus paper. In the gold market, the paper gold is a lot. There's a ton of it, right? A lot more than the physical. Then you add China and Russia, and the BRICS have all the gold, so there's very little out there. There was a show I was watching yesterday, which I don't know if I can get to, is this guy at a coin store. So he runs like silver and gold coin store, silver stackers or something. And he's saying, there's no gold. He can't get any gold. And a lot of the mints are stopping. Now it's November, but they're saying they're stopping with printing the gold. Well, it's because they don't have any. Why would you stop in November? Christmas is coming up. Everybody would want gold. So a lot of these coin stores are starting to not have gold, and the silver is getting down. Then he was talking junk silver. Junk silver is not 999. It's 90% apparently. So if you have a Mercury dime or the old quarters or Kennedy halves, they're not 999, and they're junk. And I do not recommend that. I much rather you buy a 1 ounce 999 silver bullion, the Buffalo or one of those Scottsdale mints or something, versus buying the Eagle if they're going to charge you $6 or $8 over spot, because we don't care about if it's money or not. We want an ounce of silver. So you have that, but basically that's the point. The paper gold in COMEX has a price far lower than what the physical price will be. As people need physical, COMEX will blow up because they don't have, as he said, they don't have the 25,000 tons to pay when people stand for delivery. But if you're in physical, you don't have to stand for delivery. You have the delivery. It's already delivered. So keep that in mind, what you have. And that's really the key. So buy physical, buy a safe, put it in your safe, put it in a safe. If you need to put it in a locker or these storage places, I see them where like there's all these storage boxes. Companies have them, right? You can go to a storage box, just lock it in there, especially if you got the only key. Otherwise, put it in your freezer and Cool Whip boxes or something. Gold's gold. You can't break it. You can't hurt it. It's indestructible. That's the beauty of gold. That's probably why gold's lasted so long. You can't destruct it. You can't destroy it. You can't melt it. You can't freeze it. You can't do anything with it. So it's still here, right? From the Romans, it's still here because you can't do anything. And as people start getting into fiat money for the defense contractors and the mafia, they don't understand gold. But if you understand gold, it's very, very limited, very, very high in demand, and the price has been kept down to now it's with bricks going to take off, and we're all set up for that, and that's the key to it. All right.
Best thing to do. I'd sort of calculate, if you look at the actual level of exposure at the moment, portfolio exposure to gold around the world, and we're talking about an estimated 300 trillion of portfolios total around the world.
They've got no gold left, and this time it's not a rumor. According to Alastair MacLeod, the Western financial system's vaults, once thought to hold the backbone of global trust, are now virtually empty. The gold's been leased, released, and rehypothecated into oblivion, and the paper game that kept the dollar alive is beginning to crack. But that's not all. Silver's showing the same signs of stress. MacLeod says the world's heading toward a physical metal shortage unlike anything we've ever seen. So today, we break down his urgent warning, what's really happening behind the vault doors, and why this moment could redefine wealth as we know it. Happening behind the vault doors, and why this moment could redefine wealth as we know it.
Their exposure is about 0.5%. If you're going to increase it by only 1%, at current prices, that's 25,000 tons. Where are you going to come from? It's just not there. So I think we're in a situation which, we've already beginning to see a squeeze in the market. And this is something Andy is probably a lot closer to than me. But when I saw all that stuff going out of the Bank of England back in April, the trucks backing up and being told, come back at the end of the month, I started thinking, that's basically leased gold, which before then was just remaining in the vault. Okay, it was a book transfer. So the Bank of Finland would own, say, they would lease, say, 50 tons, and it would be leased to XYZ. It was a book transfer because it would remain in the vaults. Now it's disappearing. If I was a central bank, and I don't think I'm stretching my imagination too far, I would think, hold on, I don't think I want to get involved in this leasing game anymore. I think I'm going to stop leasing because it's now getting more important that we actually have possession of our gold, or at least have it stored without any encumbrances, such as out on loan to someone else, leased to someone else or whatever. So I think that's drying up the whole of the mechanism, if you like, in London. So what I'm saying is that, it's all very well turning around and saying, put 20% of your portfolio in gold. It's not there. And worse than that, the liquidity actually is drying up. Liquidity that's keeping the paper market going, because this leased gold, it gets hypothecated, rehypothecated, rehypothecated. It just goes round and round and round, and it's like spinning plates. You used to have those chaps on the stage with spinning plates on the end of. And you'd go around and get dozens of these things spinning, and see them starting to fall to get round and sort of get them going. That basically is the gold leasing game. And a lot of this gold has actually gone. It's disappeared. I mean, the leasing game has been going for so long. Analysts back in the last century were looking at it and saying, where's it gone? And they were assuming that after a lot of diligent research, I should add, that up to a third to a half of all central bank gold by 2002 was out on lease. And the way Frank Venerosa put it was probably adorning the necks of women. I actually think China bought it, but who cares who bought it? It's not there. I mean, that's the key thing. So we actually do have this additional problem. I mean, the idea that you're going to have time to, sort of cogitate and wait to see developments and all the rest of it. I mean, you could end up missing the boat hugely on the gold game. And of course, the thing about silver is that it's always been the poor man's monetary metal, as it were. And, if they think they've missed the gold boat, they'll go and buy silver. So, and there's not a lot of liquidity there. I mean, I'm seeing that in China, stocks have dropped to well under 1,000 tons in the SHFE. This squeeze is evident again. And I see that this morning, there's a small backwardation between spot in London and COMEX. So that's returned after one day. I think it's 1 day of normalizing. So the situation, I think, when it comes to the availability of metal, is not there to accommodate investment strategies turning around and saying, well, you should up your gold content. And I think what it means is that you should actually buy it sooner rather than later, sooner before all the other. First of all, when Bretton Woods ended, there was a big propaganda effort by the US Treasury to persuade everybody that gold was no longer part of the monetary system. Now, I think it's important to know that that actually goes against common law. Common law is that gold is final settlement and everything else is credit.
So what he's trying to say is, and we don't care about the propaganda, we know gold's real. You're getting more and more demand and you have no supply, right? If everybody wants Canadian Club 12-year and there's only one bottle and there's 1,000 people with it, well, they can't all get the bottle. So what happens? The price goes up. I'll give you $100 for it. I'll give you 2. I really want it. I'll give you 3. And the key point that we know and understand, as I've been driving it into you, is that this is worthless. You don't have an option. You have to sell this and get into gold and silver. You have no option. There's nowhere else to go. It's a monopoly now. There's nothing else to get into. And this is worthless. And this is worthless. They're both worthless, as all the other currencies. So it doesn't matter what gold costs, you must have it. If you want to eat and survive, you must have gold because it's the only money left, because all this paper shit's worthless. So it doesn't matter the cost, but the demand goes to the moon and the supply is nothing. It's all bought by bricks, and your only option, if you want to get it, is to get it. And the sooner you get it, the better, because you can still get some now, which you're not going to be able to get soon. And then you've got the price. As the price goes up, now it's 4,000. Soon it'll be 5,000, and then it'll be 7, and then it'll be 10. Can you afford it? Well, if you just bought it, as I was telling you, at 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, there was plenty of it, and it was affordable. Now we could go back further to 1995 when I got this. Gold was, I think, $250 an ounce. So you could have bought a fortune of it, but nobody thought about it. Like, oh, what do I need gold for? Now it comes back to haunt you. The ironic thing is I was buying the baseball cards and the football cards, but I was smart enough to buy Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. Therefore, I'm making a big load on those instead of the gold, which if I wasn't married, I would have bought all gold. I wouldn't have bought the cards. She got us into the cards, but I was smart enough which cards to choose. And it was exciting going to the card show and pulling out a Willie Mays that's in good shape, 1965. You're going, yeah, that's fun. So you had fun with it. But now I have the fun going to the gold and silver store. But again, I'm trying to catch it while it's still available, and it's still like silver, $50 cheap. Now, as I said, I used to go play poker, and it was $300. And instead of going to play poker with the $300, I would go and buy $300 worth of silver, which is 10 or 11 or 12 ounces. Now, for $300, I get 6 ounces. So if I want to get 10, it's 500, not 300. And that's the whole thesis. Soon it's going to be $100 an ounce, and you're going to wish you got it at 50. And that's the point of the exercise. It's extremely limited. They're not going to come out with new silver. The only way you're going to get silver is to buy it from somebody like me, but I'm not going to sell it at this cheap price. I didn't buy it to sell it at 50. And again, these idiots in the store, they don't realize, oh, you're gonna profit take. You don't profit take gold and silver. Again, these idiots have no concept of what they're talking about. All right, let's go back. Well, wait a minute. All right.
Hey, if you're a gun owner, I guarantee you're going to want this. This is like duck hunt for adults. This little were to raise that exposure by even 1%, it would create a 25,000 ton shortfall, a number that simply can't be met with current mine production or reserves. That's why, he says, when the shift toward real assets begins, gold and silver prices won't just rise, they'll reset. Meanwhile, the leasing market, the heartbeat of London's paper gold system, is dying. Central banks are pulling back, realizing that the game of paper gold has gone too far. As this liquidity dries up, the same ounce of gold that's been pledged 20 times over can no longer satisfy demand. It's the equivalent of musical chairs in the vault. And when the music stops, someone's left holding a promise instead of a bar. McLeod connects this to history. Under common law, gold and silver are final settlement. Everything else is credit. Fiat money, bonds, and even digital currencies are just forms of deferred payment that depend on trust. Since the end of Bretton Woods in 1971, that trust has been stretched beyond breaking. Governments have used fiat currencies to fund endless deficits, building what McLeod calls the largest credit bubble in human history. Now that bubble is starting to burst. He warns that when this happens, everything tied to credit, stocks, bonds, even Bitcoin, will sell off in a rush for liquidity. Foreign investors hold over $16 trillion in U.S. stocks.
21.
Once confidence falters, that money will flee. The only asset left standing will be the one not based on anyone's promise, physical gold and silver. He adds that silver, long called the poor man's gold, is facing its own crisis. Chinese silver reserves are reportedly down to less than 1,000 tons, and industrial demand continues to surge. When gold becomes scarce, investors will turn to silver, and its price will explode even faster. In short, McLeod's message to investors is crystal clear. Buy physical metal now, before the crowd wakes up. The next phase won't be about profit. It'll be about survival. And so, are we close to that point? I think we're getting pretty close to it, is my view. And when it happens, everything changes. Absolutely everything changes. And I think, I'm very glad I don't actually manage money anymore, but it seems to me that this is going to be very, very difficult for investment managers to handle. And this is why I say, I've tried to sort of say earlier on, and I know people have joined since we started this, that the first thing to observe is the bursting of the credit bubble, which is being funded basically by the expansion of bank credit. That's where bank credit has been going. That's why the S&P has risen by, 50, 60, 70% or whatever in the last 2-3 years. That's the first thing. Now, when it pops, when it bursts, then you will find that everything which people own in portfolios will be sold down, particularly where they've got profits, because they will, it's human nature. When it comes to the losses, you just ride them. But what you do is you liquidate the things that have been performing well, that you got good money on. So I think even gold mines would be sold out. But the one thing they haven't got is physical metal. They don't own physical ETFs, etc. And I think that when the bubble pops, you may have to count up to 10 or something before it happens. But the next phase will be bond yields rising, making the situation worse, foreclosures in the market. You'll find foreigners will be selling what to them are foreign stocks. And bear in mind, they've got 16 trillion invested in US stocks. The whole thing is going to be a mess, a huge, great mess. And trying to manage your way through that, I think it's going to be very, very challenging. And my strategy, I think, would be, get gold now, because there is absolutely no doubt it won't be available at anything like these prices once these things happen.
And silver, incidentally. Well, I know it's not a monetary metal, but if you look at
Bullshit.
a gold-silver ratio of 83, 84, I mean, it's plainly ridiculous. It should be 30 or lower. So the two monetary metals, I think you take a position in those, and then you've got to play the end of the bubble. And that basically means lightening up on rising prices from here, on tech stocks in particular. Bitcoin, incidentally, correlates beautifully with the Magnificent Seven. So if you've got that as well, I would get out of that. And when it comes to bonds, well, you don't want to be invested in.
Okay, so let's explain a few things. What is a bubble? And is gold a bubble? Gold is not a bubble. A bubble is when the price goes over the value. So in a stock, the value of Microsoft is maybe $100 a share, but the stock's at 300. That's a bubble because it's not worth 300. So if things go over their value, it's a bubble. That's why stocks are normally the bubble things, which is why you can't say gold's gone up too high and it's pulling back as normal. That's bullshit. That's a stock. Gold is not a stock. Why are these people so stupid that they don't understand gold is not a stock? Gold is money. Gold is protection. Gold is going to go up in price, 100 times because it's a monopoly and it'll be the only thing out there and everybody will run into it. And that's what I'm saying. And he's saying it is you won't be able to find any. And especially at this price. This price has already gone from 2,000 to 4,000, right? It was 3,000. I met Jenna last October. Gold was 2,700 an ounce in last October. It's 1 year later and it's 4,000. It's gone up 1,300. And just as easily, it'll be 5,000 soon. Just as easily. And that's the thing. It won't come down because of the demand and because we're in physical. We are not in a bubble. It is not even close. The real price of gold is up here and the COMEX price is here. How the hell is it in a bubble? Oh, it climbed all the way up to here. Oh, yeah, there's got to be, trade-offs. It's got to be going down. No. It hasn't even hit. If the real gold price, let's say, is 25,000 and it goes up to 30,000, okay, that might be a bubble. But gold is nowhere near a bubble. Stocks, yes. Bitcoin, yes. Bitcoin's not worth anything. So to get it to 100 grand, as he said, it's 21 trillion of the foreigners, and they're going to dump because they're going to want to get out of US dollars because it's garbage and or they want to get into gold. So even if it's not US dollars pushing it, it's going to be the gold pushing it. And that's the whole point. That's what it is. It's not a bubble gold. Yes, the stocks are in a bubble because their value is way over what the reality is. Same thing with houses. Houses worth 200 grand goes up to 500 grand. How the fuck is that not a bubble? That is a bubble because it's not worth 500 grand. It's worth 200, but it got pushed up over its value. Anything over value is in a bubble. That's why bonds and stocks and Bitcoin, like you said, get out of all of that. Well, that's what I've been saying. You only want to be in physical gold and silver and quit fucking around. Quit fucking around with the miners. It's all going to crash. They're not, we won't sell the miners. They're going to crash. My advice has been, if you want to buy the miners, wait till the crash and then buy the miners for $2 a share. Because it's going up, but it's going up in dollars, which is meaningless. So you're making $1,000. Well, big deal. What's the dollar's not worth anything. That's why as soon as you get money, you turn it into gold and silver. You cannot leave it in dollars. It makes no sense. They're not worth anything. You cannot print $150 trillion and think they have a value because you're the reserve currency. What a bunch of horseshit. The reserve currency does not protect the dollar, and that's why gold and the dollar are not correlated. Because if the dollar's strong, it's got nothing to do. Gold is just an investment if you want to own it. But if you let gold run to its real value, well, I see Rolexes are $100,000, and I see the Mantle cards. A Mantle rookie PSA 1 is like 160,000 or something, or 60,000, I think. That's got no correlation to the dollar. A good asset will go up. If there's demand, it's simple. You have strong demand, low supply. It has nothing to do with the dollar. And that's what gold and silver are. These prices are phony because they're paper prices, not physical. When the shit hits the fan, and it's about to hit very soon, you get it now because you're not going to find it later, and you'll find it, and the price will never be the same. You won't find silver at 50. Silver will be 500 to 1,000, and gold will be easily 10,000. So yeah, because at some point, at some price point, the people with the gold will sell it. Oh, if I can get 10,000, I'd sell an ounce. I wouldn't sell if I got 100 ounces. I don't have 100, but if I had 100 and it went to 10,000 an ounce, I might sell 5 ounces just if I needed cash for something. Otherwise, I don't want cash. I want gold, and that's it. And how do I go to a grocery store or a restaurant? Same way I do now with my credit card, but in the credit card, instead of being backed by dollars, is backed by gold, I guess. But it'll be the same thing. I'll go to the grocery store with my credit card, and it'll be silver, and everything will be priced in silver. Milk will be mercury dime. We'll buy milk. Well, that's probably when. So you're going to have a real problem when silver goes to $1,000 an ounce. How the hell do you price things at the grocery store? So to be like a tenth of 20 cents of silver, basically, just like the Romans, the Appian Way. That's what they did. They traded in gold and silver. Not a big deal. Not hard to do. They did it, and they're the Romans. So that's kind of what's going on. Like he says, get out of everything. Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. If you're stupid enough to be in it, get the hell out of it. And you should be buying gold and silver now because you're not going to be able to find it at these prices. This is the biggest no-brainer in the history of life. And anyway, we are not in a gold bubble. We're in a stock bubble, in a housing bubble, in a bond bubble, but we are not in a gold bubble. Gold is not overvalued, and gold didn't run up too much and needs a pullback. No such thing in gold, only in stocks, and these idiots think it's a stock. That's the first problem. It isn't a stock, and it hasn't run up anywhere near its real value, which to me is at least, I would say gold's about 25,000 is the real value, and silver probably about 2,500 then, about 10 to 1. That's the real physical value based on high demand, low supply. You can't get it, and it's getting very, very hard to find. Anyway, so that's the point. You get out of your stocks in Bitcoin now, and then the more you can get into gold. But if you're staying in stocks, as a lot of the people who, well, it's my 401k and I get a match. Yeah, okay. Well, it's not worth anything. Hate to break your bubble, but it's not worth anything. So that's the thing. But anyway, that's what alligator. It was a good explanation. If you get a chance, watch this one. This destroys diabetes. I haven't. I got to watch it. I think I have watched it. Maybe it was magnesium, I think, and that's what the avocado, the dark chocolate, the almonds, the pumpkin seeds. Buy things like that, and you'll be very healthy, and you won't have to go to the doctor. This is my doctor. When I have a problem, I look her up and go, how do I get rid of my hard cough? As Real D was talking yesterday, and you put onions on your feet and it went away, and she nailed it. All right. All right. A little Andy Scheckman.
Hey, how much does it cost to insure a normal car? Oh, about $50 or $70. Depends. How much is yours?
It was the craziest couple of weeks of all time. This market is it's interesting to say the least, but a market that has continued to move up and up and up and up, other than the last 2 days, which is, I certainly think, been some form of shock and awe. It's been crazy, and people are beginning to wake up, I think, to what's happening around the globe, and are more concerned about value, keeping their money in dollars, which seems more like a melting ice cube these days than a currency.
Well, it's gone up, 66% this year, and then it dropped 6.3%, and people are kind of freaking out. But that's just a slight correction on a massive increase over the year.
It's not a correction, moron. This is the problem with these idiots. It is not a correction. There is no such thing as a correction in gold. What are you correcting? It's so undervalued that it's not a correction, and it's gone up 66 because people are buying it because it's limited and they realize what they need to buy. It is not a slight correction. So again, she doesn't get it, and Schechtman's an idiot. He agrees with her, but that's not there's no correction. Why do people view gold as stock? This is the biggest bitch I have. No, it's not a stock. It shouldn't be correcting. It should be going up. That's why you're freaking out, because we know that gold should be $10,000. It should just keep going up. And the only reason it drops is because it's COMEX and it's paper. It shouldn't be dropping. And if you had a normal pricing mechanism, does a Mantle card drop? Does a Brady rookie drop? No, they just keep going up and up and up because they're free market. And that's the problem. So gold should not be correcting. There is no correction to be made there.
Totally. It is. And
An
in
idiot,
many ways,
idiot,
however, it's a
idiot Schechtman agrees. Yes, it's a correction. That's how stupid he is. See, that's why I knock him. Is he a nice guy? I don't know. He kind of comes across nice. Who knows? Till you sit down with him. But now he just said yes, the corrections. It just shows he's an idiot. He tells you what he is by his actions, by his own words. I tell you what I am based on my words. Talk, it's like actions speak louder than words. I tell you to buy gold at 1,800. It's now 4,000. Yeah, I guess my action was correct. And the same with silver.
very, very, very big move. In fact, it fell by 5.7%, as you said. It's making it the largest one-day drop in 12 years. It's called this is a 4.5 sigma move, which is just a fancy way of saying that such a large move only happens 1 out of every 140,000 days.
But why did it happen? Because some idiot shorted the COMEX. A guy shorted it, so that the price didn't drop at all. The paper option moved, but the physical price of gold didn't drop. So this is the idiot. This is the point of it. It's not the physical price that he's talking about, but he can't understand it, so he doesn't explain it that way. The price dropped. It's the paper. It's an option price. Some guy shorted it. So what does that tell you? It doesn't mean it's the real physical gold going down, but he doesn't understand, so he can't explain it.
In a normal world, it's very unusual to what we saw. No question about it.
You're thinking big players did some kind of move to make this happen. It wasn't organic by all the different little investors. There are some big players that did something, right? I mean,
it's like this trader, whoever it was, whichever entity did this, if it were a real trader, they would be fired and shot, and probably not in that order, because there was a massive, and I mean a huge dump of paper metal onto the market in probably the most inopportune, thinly traded market you could ever ask for. It was certainly not done in an effort to maximize return on what they were selling. In fact, it was quite to the contrary. The interesting thing about it is that last night, and this is again after New York is closed in very thin trading, the price of gold gets hammered, falls by, I don't know, over $100, and silver got smacked as well. But what was very interesting is shortly thereafter, there was a tremendous amount of buying. Now, who those buyers are, I have no idea. But I can tell you that silver actually went positive, and gold pared back the majority.
The price is going down on purpose so people can buy it cheaper. Why is that concept over his head? I don't know who's selling. Who cares who's selling and buying? All we know is some idiots are shorting it, and then the price then goes up because it's a cheaper price, so they can buy it cheaper. I mean, that's logical. That's why I say it's the sale of the century. Buy it.
Of its losses. Now, you could call that short covering on older commercial bank positions. You could call that, as Jim Sinclair, my old friend, God rest his soul, used to say, MOPE, management of perception economics, at a time when, you know, things are crazy around the globe, and Europe is yelling at us for what's happening with our dollar. With, again, we're seeing problems with the regional banks, and all of a sudden we're beginning to see stress in the system with the overnight repo market, and all primarily centered around commercial real estate. But also exposure to failing private equity firms that are also closely tied to the banks. There's all of this stress happening, and at the same time, we're getting all sorts of publicity in Reuters and Bloomberg and in all of the mainstream media talking about the allure and the positivity of gold. And I think you have some very large players who don't like that very much, whether they be trying to cover their positions, whether they be trying to accumulate, whatever it is. This was a coordinated drive-by shooting in the most inopportune possible time to maximize return on the sale. This is not how normal markets behave, and nor how anyone with half a brain, even one brain cell, would sell a position that large by dumping it all at once when New York is closed in an effort to maximize the downside effect. But
they were trying to lower the price to buy it. That's exactly what they would do. I'm going to dump to get the price down, so then I can buy it. And instead of buying it for 4,300, I'm buying it for 3,900. It's exactly what you would do. It's over his head, though.
Someone on the other side waiting to scoop up a large portion of it. Again, the physical buying and the paper market are wrestling, and I think it's very difficult to win this paper game when the physical market is as serious as it is as to take possession in a falling market.
Well, when the gold is up by 66% for the year, that's just a small correction. So, but to them, it was probably a major dump. I mean, they're going to have to do a succession of dumps like this. And I don't think the appetite in the environment is right where they're going to get this to hold.
Well, they haven't been able to. But, you know, again, to see a market that had moved up where we blew through 2,000 and never retested it, blew 3,000, never retested it, blew through 4,000 and still yet haven't retested it, we might. To see a pullback of 20%, 30%, even within the context of as you eloquently mentioned, silver up almost 70%, gold up over 60. Yeah, to see a correction is normal. Markets don't go straight up, no matter how bullish.
Okay, that's enough. He doesn't get it. You don't correct it. All right, we're back to 39.90 and 48.25. So you can see they're playing this game between 4,020 and 39.70. This $50 window. It's all bullshit. It's all paper. It's all options. It's got nothing to do with physical. Nobody's selling any gold. I mean, you may sell an ounce or two, but that doesn't move. If everybody bought a ton of gold, the price wouldn't move. If everybody sold a ton of gold, the price wouldn't move, because it's not based on the market going up and down. This is the folly that everybody's having, thinking everything's there. So that's what you have, but this is bullshit. This is paper price gold. It's not physical. And again, gold is not in a bubble because it's not overvalued. It's majorly undervalued. There's no such thing as a correction in gold, only in stocks, which again, these idiots don't understand. It's hard listening. For me, it's hard to listen to these guys because I find that all I'm doing is correcting their mistakes because they don't really know what they're talking about. And so my thought is, so why am I listening to them? I'll listen to somebody like Egon who knows what he's talking about. Alligator once in a while, but he's been listening to me because all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, inflation is not prices; it's the dollar being printed." Where'd you get that from, Alligator? Because that's what I've been telling, and you've been wrong on it, thinking it's prices. And this is the problem. So they all listen to each other, and none of them know what they're talking about. So keep in mind, people will dump their stocks to get out of dollars as inflation hits because of the dollar of the money being printed to death, and it's the same every country. They will sell their stock because they need money. They will lose their jobs because that if they're running a business, prices go up. You can't raise prices to the public, and that's my point. You can't raise prices. If a steak's $20, nobody's buying it. So you better lower that steak price if you want to sell it, because people aren't idiots. So you have a lot of that. So anyway, football game tonight, Denver, Oakland, Denver minus 9, 42. You do have Brock Bowers playing, but Denver 10-0 is a home favorite, 25-2 their last 27 in teaser. Enough said. Free play is Buffalo, Miami. Take Buffalo, free play. The free play in college is Coastal Carolina over. No, Coastal Carolina not over. Coastal Carolina minus 1.5. I keep thinking the over because they've been scoring a lot, but Georgia State might not get us points, and Coastal Carolina should. So Coastal Carolina should win. So that's the free play. And I love those kind. We're going against the Z. We're taking a team that's been hot the last 5 weeks. They've scored a ton, 38, 40 points a game. So that's the whole point. So Coastal Carolina, free pick. Buffalo, free pick. I have 3 locks going. Or no, I have 2 locks. I'll have another. I'll have a pro lock, I'm sure. I have a college with pro, and I have another college. So I got 3 college locks and 1 pro lock, and I might have more. So if you buy from me, please understand I do post more. You can bet it any way you want. I'm basically giving you the games, and you can tie them up any way you want. You can do a 10-team teaser. You can do a 4-team teaser. You can just do 2 teams. All I advise is if it's a lock to bet more on it, but stick to your bankroll. That's the key to it. What can you afford to lose? If it's a $5,000 bankroll, you might go 150 a game. And then on the locks, maybe you go 250 on the locks or the stronger plays. And if you're playing a 5 or 6 team teaser, don't play it. Don't play it for $200. I mean, unless you have a big bankroll. But if you're just a regular guy, I would play my 8, 9, 10 team teasers for $20, $30. Extremely hard to hit, but when you hit them, it's a nice payoff. So it's not like you're sure you're going to go 10-0 and, I'm going to bet $500 on it. Unless you can afford the 500, you 30, 40, maybe $50 on it. All right. So that's our gold. That's our silver. That's our bricks. Comex bricks has all the gold. They have 75% of the gold, and it's all gone. And then you have the football. Again, a lot of injuries that we're noticing, and we went through the quarterbacks. So your injured quarterback is so Purdy's out for Jones. Daniels is out for Mariota. Brissett's playing for Kyler Murray. Let's see. JJ's in. God knows why. Gabriel's playing. Baker against May. Shaw's in because Rattler sucks. Steve Young's playing. God knows why. Lawrence Stroud's out, so Mills is playing. Jones against Penix and Smith against Nix. So a few injuries, but Penix is playing, which is good. And that's it. The quarterback's the key, and the defense is the other key, and that's the keys. So good luck there. See you tomorrow. www.teaserking.com. Have a nice day. Buy as much physical gold and silver as you possibly can at this price, at these low prices, and while it's still available. And I've been saying that for years. I was in Alabama, and there was a guy I met at the club, and I'm talking to him. And says, you got to get out of your stocks and buy gold. And he wouldn't do it. I said, fine, just stay in stocks. I don't give a fuck. I can't. You can lead the horse to water. You can't make him drink. And at that time, I mean, gold was very cheap. Well, it was probably 1900 at that time. So when the market crashes, good for him. The market will crash because as costs go up, people will need money and they'll sell their stocks and their Bitcoin, and eventually it'll all crash because you got $21 trillion from the outside countries who are in the stock market. They pull. There's more sales than buys. The price goes down. So keep that in mind. Be safe. Buy the gold and silver. It's a monopoly. You can't lose. It's going up. Why you'd be in stocks, Bitcoin is beyond me. Digital is fake. It's not real because there isn't a. Show me a Bitcoin, and I don't mean a gold coin that has a B on it. It's not a Bitcoin. It's a gold coin. And funny how they use gold for Bitcoin. Anyway, be careful. The banks, the repos, the banks are going to start going out and all that. So just be careful. Protect yourself and your family with the gold and silver. And you can sleep well at night like I do. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Good luck tonight, the Denver-Oakland game. We'll see what happens. All right. Take care.